Debt crisis. Imagine you have a friend named Alex. Alex loves to buy toys, clothes, and snacks, but they don't always have enough money to pay for everything they want. So, they start borrowing money from different people, like their family, friends, or even the bank. At first, borrowing money seems fine because Alex can buy all the things they want. But here's the catch. Alex needs to pay back the money they borrowed, usually with some extra money called interest. Sometimes, borrowing money becomes a problem when Alex borrows more than they can afford to pay back. Now, let's say Alex keeps borrowing money without thinking about how they'll repay it. Eventually, they owe so much money to different people that it becomes difficult for them to make all the payments on time. This is when a debt crisis occurs. A debt crisis is like a big financial problem when someone, like a person, a company, or even a country, owes a lot of money and finds it hard to pay it back. When the debt becomes too high, the people or organizations that loaned the money might get worried and want their money back. They might even charge more interest or stop lending them any more money. In some cases, when a country faces a debt crisis, it can affect the whole economy. It can make it harder for the government to pay for important things like schools, hospitals, or even pay their employees. It can also cause prices to rise, people to lose their jobs, and businesses to struggle. Why a country take loan if they cannot repaying in future? Countries take loans for various reasons, even if they may face challenges in repaying them in the future. Here are a few reasons why countries might choose to borrow money. Financing government expenditures. Governments often borrow money to fund public expenditures, such as building infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools, providing healthcare and education services, or supporting social welfare programs. Loans allow governments to cover immediate expenses while spreading the cost over time. Economic development. Countries may borrow money to invest in their economic development. For example, they might use borrowed funds to modernize industries, promote innovation and technology, attract foreign investment, or develop new infrastructure. These investments are aimed at stimulating economic growth, creating jobs, and improving living standards in the long run. Managing budget deficits. A budget deficit occurs when a government's expenses exceed its revenue. In such cases, borrowing money can help cover the shortfall and maintain essential services. Countries might borrow temporarily to bridge the gap with the expectation that economic growth or increased revenue in the future will help repay the loans. Responding to crises. In times of economic or natural disasters, countries may need to borrow money to fund emergency relief efforts, rebuild infrastructure, or stabilize their economies. These loans can provide vital support during challenging times and help countries recover and rebuild. However, it's important to note that borrowing comes with risks. If a country borrows more than it can manage or if it faces economic difficulties, it may struggle to repay the loans. Sometimes, unexpected events, such as changes in global economic conditions or natural disasters, can make repayment even more difficult. Countries rely on borrowing because they believe that the benefits of the loans, such as economic growth, social development, or crisis management, outweigh the potential risks. However, managing debt responsibly and ensuring the ability to repay is crucial for maintaining financial stability and preventing a debt crisis. Which country faced debt crisis, and how he come over this? There have been several countries that have faced debt crises throughout history. One example is Greece, which experienced a severe debt crisis starting in 2010. Here's a brief overview of Greece's debt crisis and how it attempted to overcome it. Greece's debt crisis was primarily caused by a combination of factors, including high government spending, a significant budget deficit, poor fiscal management, and an economic recession. The country had borrowed extensively from international lenders, such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the European Union, EU, and its debt burden became unsustainable. To address the crisis, Greece implemented a series of austerity measures. These measures involved significant spending cuts, tax increases, and structural reforms aimed at reducing the budget deficit, improving competitiveness, and restoring fiscal discipline. The goal was to regain the confidence of international lenders and stabilize the economy. In exchange for financial assistance, Greece entered into bailout programs with the IMF, the EU, and the European Central Bank, ECB. These programs provided loans to Greece in return for implementing the prescribed reforms. The bailout funds helped the country meet its immediate financial obligations and avoid a complete default on its debt. However, the austerity measures and structural reforms led to social and economic challenges in Greece. The country experienced a deep economic contraction, high unemployment rates, reduced public services, and social unrest. The Greek government faced criticism for the human cost of the austerity measures, and the population endured significant hardships. Over time, Greece made some progress in reducing its budget deficit, implementing structural reforms, and regaining some economic stability. The country received multiple bailout packages, and its debt was partially restructured, with some creditors accepting losses. Despite these efforts, Greece's recovery from the debt crisis has been gradual and ongoing. It continues to face economic challenges, including a high debt burden, slow growth, and the need for further reforms. The long-term sustainability of Greece's debt remains a concern, and ongoing efforts are being made to support its economic recovery and address the remaining structural issues. It's important to note that each country's debt crisis is unique, and the strategies used to overcome it can vary depending on specific circumstances, including the level of debt, economic conditions, and the support received from international institutions and lenders. The impact of debt crisis on the economy? The impact of a debt crisis on the economy can be significant and far-reaching. Here are some key effects that a debt crisis can have. 1. Economic slowdown. A debt crisis can lead to a slowdown in economic growth. When a country or a large number of individuals and businesses struggle to repay their debts, it can result in reduced spending, lower investments, and decreased consumer confidence. This, in turn, can lead to a decline in economic activity and job losses. 2. Government budget constraints. In the case of a debt crisis at the national level, the government may find it challenging to manage its finances. A significant portion of the government's revenue may need to be allocated towards debt repayment, leaving limited funds for essential public services like education, healthcare, infrastructure development, and social welfare programs. 3. Currency depreciation. A debt crisis can put pressure on a country's currency. If investors lose confidence in the country's ability to manage its debts, they may start selling off the country's currency. This can lead to a depreciation in the value of the currency, making imports more expensive and potentially causing inflation. 4. Increased interest rates. During a debt crisis, lenders may demand higher interest rates to compensate for the increased risk associated with lending money to borrowers in financial trouble. Higher interest rates can make it more costly for businesses and individuals to borrow money, which can further dampen economic activity and investment. 5. International financial instability. A debt crisis in one country can have spillover effects on the global economy. If the crisis is severe and widespread, it can lead to financial market instability, affecting international trade, investment, and overall market confidence. It can also create a domino effect, impacting other countries that have financial links or trade relationships with the debt-ridden nation. 6. Austerity measures. To address a debt crisis, governments often implement austerity measures. These measures typically involve cutting government spending and increasing taxes to reduce budget deficits and regain the trust of lenders. While these measures aim to restore financial stability, they can also result in reduced public services, job losses, and social hardships for citizens. It's important to note that the exact impact of a debt crisis can vary depending on various factors, such as the scale of the crisis, the country's economic structure, and the actions taken by policymakers to address the situation. Thanks for watching the video.